Hi, it's Thomas L. Jr. back and with the TS report. Hey, we're going to take a look at high school football the week that was. Big win by Bartlett, so we're finna jump into everything. This week.
Hey, Thomas, the TS report. Oh, the JS report. Hey guys, welcome back to the JS report. Thank you for Thomas Sellers for filling in the last 2 weeks. Again, happy belated birthday to him. First of all, I want to do all the prayers out to the Memphis community regarding the surroundings, what happened within the last 2 weeks as well in the city. Prayers for the Bartlett cross country team, as one of their cross country runners suffered a heart attack after a race last week, and I know he's recovering pretty well as well. So prayers to all of them as well. Let's do some player shout outs. Arlington with a huge win, non-conference 41-6. Their offense maybe back on all cylinders, scoring 41 points against Overton. Shout out to their defense, only holding an improved offense for Overton at 6 points. So passing yard, they had 182 passing yards in that one. And then I'll give some Bartlett High School some love. Not really a shocker in my opinion, just because Bartlett had played that Hoover High School game, second game of the regular season, to get them ready for a Lausanne test at Lausanne as well. Hey, a shootout, 42-31 win over Lausanne, at Lausanne. Braden Ragland, 7-13, 190 passing yards, 72 rushing yards. Deshaun Catton, the running back, 155 yards, 2 touchdowns. And their special teams, Rasheen Ratton, 99 yards, kickoff return, to opening up the second half. So kudos to the Panthers in that hard-fought victory. And to get ready for Germantown, hopefully that Lausanne game will help them get ready for Germantown and a tough test at Germantown. Collierville, 42-0. Their defense shut out Center Hill down in Mississippi. Chandler Day for Houston, 10-17 for 205 passing yards. And then FACS lost a tough one to Halls, but they did have some good tackles on defense. AJ McKay with 11 tackles, and then Noah Jackson for 7 tackles, and same thing for Trey Wampler. Guys, a little bit of recap from last week. Thomas, what stood out to you last week?
Well, the great job on the JS report that's been going. Take away the TS report. But what stood out to me last week, I guess all these schools getting new football fields. Up in Millington, they debuted their new field against Fayette Academy, and the quarterback, he's a sophomore at Fayette Academy, but as a complete athlete, he provided a tough challenge for Millington throughout the night. Millington was able to pull out a 16-13 win in the game. I attended, but when you look at the reports and all that, definitely Bartlett win over Lausanne. You got Brock Glenn, Miss Ohio State commitment, 4-star recruit, and then here go Braden Ragland, the Georgia State commitment. He comes in with his team, and they show, hey, we're here to compete. Now they get to get ready for Isaiah Tate in Germantown, but Bartlett win was definitely the biggest takeaway from this past week.
Per se for me, St. George got their first win. Kudos to them over St. Benedict, 27-24. But Bolton getting their first victory over Wooddale, 35-0 as well.
Yeah, now they come into Millington. That's going to be a tough matchup.
And then Briarcrest on that 2-game losing streak now, going into a rivalry game against Christian Brothers. I know they played DeSoto Central, who's a good powerhouse down in Mississippi in the 6A classification, I believe. But just the way Briarcrest had 7 turnovers in that game. And 6 of them by their own quarterback with 2 interceptions and 4 fumbles.
So you think they cleaned that up? They should have a good shot against Christian Brothers, but as we know, that league is just tough. MUS is sitting there kind of chomping at the bits, hoping these teams beat each other up. So by the time they get to them, it'll be a cakewalk. So yeah, that league is just tough, and then they schedule tough teams to prepare for a playoff run. So Briarcrest losing streak is not surprising. But this is not last year's Briarcrest team.
I think it's going to be showing a lot of fatigue regarding Briarcrest, where a lot of players are playing on both sides of the football once again this year.
Yeah,
especially when there's a lot of players young on defense, and a lot of senior leaders like Max Carroll, the TCU commit, playing on both sides of the football as well. It's pretty much like the same thing when Reggie Neely, Omari Thomas, and Ronnie Newsom. I feel like that when that team played both sides of the ball as well.
It does deplete you, and you mentioned FACS. That's an up and coming team. Halls, who beat TRA this year. They're tough this year. This is not the Halls team that everybody you schedule for your homecoming. That team out in the middle of nowhere in West Tennessee is tougher this year. So people gonna have to be careful when they put Halls down. But FACS, watch out for them. I think they'll get on the roll later on.
And I think they got USJ this week, but
another tough test. Yeah.
Another tough test. But the thing is about everybody just playing these non-conference games to get them ready for the postseason later on in the year, and then just whatever happens in the district standings as well, that can get them ready. Because this is going to be the heat of the district schedule for a lot of teams now going ahead. And that's my recap from last week. Guys, this is my look ahead this week. Thomas, there's some exciting games out there. Other than the two games, Bartlett, Germantown, Millington, bowl game that you'll be at, what game stands out to you this week?
Christian Brothers Briarcrest by far, both 2-2. You win, you back over 500, a division win. You need this to kind of cement where you're going to be, because I think all the teams qualify, but you want to avoid Baylor and all those schools as much as possible, as long as possible. So a very crucial game. That's a game that's really standing out to me.
The game that really standing out to me this week is going to be Overton at Mumford, and then Brighton at Central.
Okay, so we're looking at Region 8-5A at this point. Mumford is trying to submit that, hey, we're the best team. And they could take a huge step forward this week. Jordan Bell, all those weapons that he have out there, they're looking awesome. Isaiah Cobbs and all of them, they have been rolling on team. Big win at Dyersburg last week for Mumford. And then with Brighton,
defense only returned 3 starters, like I told y'all, in the first week, and they've done pretty well all season long so far.
Only gave up 7.
And gave up 7 points against Dyersburg.
And then let's go to their rivals, Mumford's rival, Brighton. They suffered 2 quarterback losses in back-to-back weeks.
Oh, jeez.
Severe injuries. So that team Morgan Crew, this is his first year out there. It's like, he must feel like he's snake bitten at this point. But they're competitive, they're tough. The Central game can be a chance for them to turn their season around. Central has to prove to Mumford that, hey, we're going to be the ones to compete with you, and that last game at the end of the year will be for the championship. If Central's going to do that, they have to stay on pace. So those are some big games.
Yeah, like real quick, I want to bring up the Chris Briarcrest game because you made a good point. That game could basically decide who goes on the road in the first round of playoffs, because they're both both teams cannot fall 0-2 in that league.
Yes, very.
And I know Briarcrest, like we just talked about, plays players on both sides of the football, and Briarcrest is led by J.D. Shaw, Detroit commitment, and Christian Brothers have lost a lot of talent on offense, but their offense still has a good, decent running game.
And so you got a chance with a good running game.
And when you have a decent running game like you did with Downhaven last year, anything can pretty much happen.
Hey, but that reminds us, it's a little revenge factor from last year's playoff game between those two. So, hey, they don't need extra motivation when it's Christian Brothers Briarcrest. So it should be a great game.
And then another key league game is going to be Fayette Academy and Tipton Rosemont.
Okay, so both these upcoming teams, like I said, I mentioned that Fayette Academy got a great young sophomore quarterback. And Mr. Graves on defense, their middle linebacker, can stop up the middle. So Sam Cannon of TRA, their quarterback, he might get to meet Mr. Graves up close and personal, I'm sure. But if he's not meeting him, that means TRA's line is doing their job, and they got a good chance to pull out that game. But it's going to be a good game.
Could Houston pull the upset against Whitehaven?
Yes, this is not your brothers, Whitehaven Tigers. They're good, they're athletic, they're competitive, but they're young in a lot of key spots. And they have to develop that DeHaven mindset. Losing to Germantown took a lot out of them. Then they go to Brentwood Academy and get one laid up.
That's where that game was at Whitehaven.
Okay, well, yeah. So they came to the Haven. You lost 2 games in the Haven. So where's your mindset at? Can we reestablish our mental dominance that we need to? Last year's loss to Collierville took something out of them. Whitehaven's always going to be a competitive team, but what's the mindset for those Tigers when they take on Houston? And the Mustangs got to be feeling pretty good because they've been doing well against their schedule. And hey, let's go in there, and we got them in the playoffs a couple years ago. Let's get them again.
Another game real quick I do want to bring up is going to be like non-conference. Like we just talked about non-conference schedules. ECS, with them being a young team, will host Olive Branch, and Coach Adams and his young team is going to be.
But they're going
to be up there in the postseason, possibly maybe make a deep run, maybe with that young talent. But that non-conference schedule, like we just talked about, does get your team ready for toward the region itself, and then toward the playoffs.
They start off with Ensworth. Hey, there's no tougher test in the state of Tennessee than Ensworth. So yeah, Coach Adams they're going through a gauntlet every week, but will it pay off in November?
And then Ensworth at MUS, it could be a good game there also, because MUS you really never know with their offense, and then Ensworth holding opponents to less than 10 points on average the last couple of games. So a true test for the Owls hosting them, but it could be a good game.
Whoever wins that game is going to be in the catbird seat so, for that league.
And guys, that is my key games of the week. Guys, my top 10 this week will be Germantown number 1. Germantown's clicking on all cylinders, non-conference schedule and the schedule so far up to date. A true test at home against this week is the Bartlett Panthers, comes down to Red Devil Stadium in that one. Mumford, number 2. Jordan Bell, Braxton Sharp, and their defense holding opponents less than 7 points on average lately. Collierville, number 3, who's still undefeated. Bartlett, number 4, because they beat Lausanne at Lausanne. Covington 5, Houston 6, MUS 7, Briarcrest 8, Christmas 9. And I'll put FACS at number 10. They got a good win against Harding 2 weeks ago in a league game. So good luck to all teams this week in the West 10 media coverage area. And we'll look forward to seeing another JS report next week.
It was nice while it lasted, the TS report. Oh, you guys are still here. Okay, back to the JS report. We as you know, we conclude every week with the Dynamic Power 10, our rankings here at West 10 Media. So hopefully you don't have to visit Dynamic Physical Therapy, but if you're injured, hurt, this and that, they're good people to go see, friendly, great staff, and here's the 2 convenient locations at 86 Highway 51 North in Millington and at 973 Highway 51 North in Covington. So tell them that the people at West 10 Media sent you, but hopefully you don't have to go, but you get it. But here's our top 10. At number 10, we had the Arlington Tigers, 2-2, big win over Memphis Overton. They're trending in the right direction. Number 9, Christian Brothers. Number 8, Briarcrest. These 2 teams meet each other. Who's going to be 3-2? Who's going to be 2-3 and drop out of the Power 10? We shall see. Number 7, maybe they should move up a little bit more. The Bartlett Panthers at 3-1. But if they beat Germantown, they will move up in the rankings. Great win at Lausanne. Like I said, taking on the top recruit, Bart Glenn. The Panthers are definitely a team to watch out for. Number 6, the Covington Chargers at 3-1. They've been rolling over some teams lately. 49-6 win over Brighton. Ripley's going to provide a tough test as they got to go travel there in a league matchup. Number 5, the Houston Mustangs at 3-1. They got to take on Whitehaven. Whitehaven comes to them. They beat Pierre 37-14. Let's see who's going to tell of the tape for both these teams. You know, they're measuring to see who's going to be better, Houston, Whitehaven. We'll see after this game here. Now our top 4. Number 4, MUS Owls at 3-1. Ensworth has to travel here to Memphis to play our Owls after they beat Raleigh 47-0. It's going to be a tough matchup for MUS. Whoever wins this game is going to be in the driver's seat to win that division. Now our top 3. Number 3, the Mumford Cougars at 4-0. Big win over Dyersburg, going to Dyersburg, holding them just 7 points, winning 37-7. Take on Memphis Overton with a solid quarterback, good offense. Could they put up some points against Mumford? We shall see. Number 2, the Germantown Red Devils at 4-0. As they beat Hillcrest 56-0, they're going to have to step up in level of competition with the Bartlett Panthers. It's going to be tough. And Mr. Ragland and his crew they show they can go on the road and win a big game. Now, can they go to Germantown and do the same? And number 1, our defending champions, there's no reason to take them out of number 1. I hope John understands that. The Collierville Dragons, who gets ready to take on the Cordova Wolves after going to Center Hill, beating those Mustangs 42-0. So that's our Power 10 as we head into week 5. And hey, we catch you next week on the JS Report.